Robert Jenrick, thanks so much for talking to us on the Politics Hub. So we've seen your video. Do you want to be a policeman or the Justice Secretary?
Well, look, I think politicians make speeches, they ask questions, and that is absolutely part of the job. But sometimes you do have to get out of Westminster, listen to people, and where you see things that are wrong, try to shame the authorities into taking action. And I felt angry that law-abiding people were paying for their fares, not just on the London Underground, but on transport across the country. And they probably felt foolish, silly, that other people were flagrantly breaching the rules, not paying. That's costing everyone money because everyone is having to pay higher fares as a result. And it's time for the authorities to step up. And here in London, frankly, it's for Sadiq Khan to do something. He's a do-nothing mayor. He's been in office for years. This problem seems to be getting worse.
Well, look,
I want to see him take action.
Isn't part of the problem with lawlessness the fact that the Tories been in power for such a long time, in charge of crime in the Home Office, that you were in?
Well, Sadiq Khan is the mayor of London and has been. He's in his third term now. What is he doing? Why isn't he taking action? The number of people being prosecuted for fare dodging in London has fallen dramatically. And I think that the officers, there are good people who work for TfL, but the officers need to be given the confidence, the training, the ballast to get out and actually solve this problem. When I was at Stratford Station on Saturday morning, there were 8 officers seemingly doing nothing at all. There was one guy who was feet up on the counter, doom-scrolling on his phone, watching as people were walking in and out of an open barrier, not, checking in and out. Presumably some of them weren't paying. And how does that make everybody else feel, the people who are playing by the rules? I think people feel that the system is broken, that Britain, actually, frankly, is broken right now. And this is part of a bigger picture. You've got graffiti, you've got people playing loud music on public transport without headphones, you've got shoplifting, you've got mobile phone theft, you've got tool theft from tradesmen's vans. It's time the state actually stepped up, reasserted authority and protected the interests of working people.
So you decided to step in. I mean, look, is it a bit of a gimmick? Is the fact that you're here now proof that it's worked? You managed to grab attention?
No, I felt that this was an issue that needed to be raised in profile, and that is what's happened because it obviously tapped into something that many, many people across the country feel strongly about.
You're approached by a guy with a knife.
Yeah, there are some nasty people who are doing this as well as others, and yeah, I did meet some people who...
Well, you weren't approached. You approached him.
Yeah, there were people who threatened me when I went to speak to them, so I wouldn't recommend other people go and do this. No, I wasn't. I didn't feel in danger, but it's my job as a Member of Parliament, Shadow Justice Secretary, to be raising these issues. It's not the job of the general public to be doing this. It's for people like British Transport Police, the enforcement officers, and in other issues that I'm raising, the police and local councils to step up and take action. And I subscribe to the broken windows theory, where if small things are allowed to fester and to spiral, then it just gets worse and worse and worse, and it chips away at society, at the public realm in which everybody lives. And I want people to be able to walk safe and clean streets, not in fear of crime. And at the moment, we are seeing shoplifting at record highs. We're seeing increase in burglary. We're seeing mobile phone theft. This is creating a real problem, and somebody needs to step up and take action.
You also talk about what you call weird Turkish barber shops. What do you mean by that?
Well, I read the other day there was a small town in Wales which had 6,000 inhabitants, and it's now getting its 14th Turkish barber shop. Something strange is happening here. You are seeing the police taking action, and they have had raids on barbershops and seen there is a link to criminality, serious organised crime, money laundering, illegal migration. Of course, that is not all Turkish barbershops.
But do you think you're
there is something strange
over all Turkish barbershops by saying what you said?
No, I'm saying that there's something strange going on. How is the demand in a town of 6,000 people for 14 barbershops? It's commonsensical that there's something fishy going on here, and that's backed up by the actions of the police. And it's not just that. You're seeing it, for example, these American candy stores that are opening up, where, again, there is proven links, in some cases, to organised crime, money laundering. I don't want to live in a Britain where this kind of stuff is just happening and people turn a blind eye to it. I think whether it's myself as a Member of Parliament or particularly the authorities need to be gripping these things, or else it does chip away at society.
I guess the thing is, you are someone who was involved in a row about an unlawful planning development, who has had to pay back some of his expenses, who was accused of breaking COVID rules. I'm not saying all those things...
Well, none of those things are accurate.
You were involved in a row about a planning decision.
Well, I was involved in a row, but there was no impropriety there.
Well, look, are you...
That's what you're suggesting, but that's not the case.
Are you the right person to be preaching about people following the rules on a £7 ticket fine?
Look, I do not think that people should be skipping the barriers at tube stations. I'm not going to allow that to happen. And if it takes me to get out there on social media, then I'll absolutely do that, because it's right for politicians to be holding people to account for this. And what I want to have is the law enforcement authorities stepping up. I want Sadiq Khan to be doing... What is he doing? Millions of people today have seen this video, have said, yes, this is something I experience in my daily life. Where is the Mayor of London? Radio silence. He's hiding, or he's frankly the one who's dodging the media today. He needs to step up, explain to the public what he's been doing, and bring this problem back into a sensible way that people can feel that the rules apply to everyone in society.
I know you don't have long, but I want to ask you a little bit about broader politics, if that's OK. There is talk, it's fair to say, about Boris Johnson returning. What have you heard?
Look, I speak to Boris occasionally, but I don't know if he wants to get back into politics. He seems to be enjoying life, doing speeches, writing books, travelling the world. The Conservative Party needs to focus.
Would you like to see him come back?
I think the Conservative Party has to focus on the future. Look, what I want to see is the Conservative Party turn a page.
And he's not the future.
Look, Boris, like many other people, play a part in our party. I want all the best talents to be involved in the party. But in order to regain the public's trust and confidence, it has to look to the future. That means acknowledging the mistakes that were made in the past, and it does mean a new generation of people stepping up and taking the party forwards.
It feels like quite an important day today, because we have Keir Starmer gathering journalists, taking the fight directly to Nigel Farage. What does that tell you? Is Nigel Farage now the official opposition?
No, the Conservative Party is the official opposition, but you're right to say we've just suffered our worst ever electoral defeat. The public, understandably, feel frustrated with the party because we didn't keep our promises on some of the biggest issues facing our country, like immigration, for example. So there's a lot of work for the party to do to regain people's trust and confidence. That's what we're doing under Kemi. If I can play my part in that, as I have today, by raising this issue, I should absolutely be doing that. Dominic
Cummings yesterday said that you were right on some things, including crime. He also said Kemi Badenoch's a goner. Do you care what he thinks?
Look, he can say what he wants, but Kemi is doing a good job as leader of the party. She's holding the government to account. Just today, for example, she's raised the issue of grooming gangs, where, in fact, she's put out herself a very powerful video where she's spoken with one of the victims of the grooming gang scandal, and she is pushing the government to take action and to have a full national inquiry. That is an example of her holding the government to account, setting important agendas in this country, and I'm fully behind her.
OK, Robert Jenrick, Shadow Justice Secretary, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you.